Hey, I'm catiewahwah, and today I'm doing something a little bit different on my channel. I am doing my first ever tag video. I've never done one before because honestly I didn't really feel like any of the main tags really applied to my channel. But then I came across this tag, which is the vinyl tag, and I was like, okay, if ever there was a reason to do a tag, come on. I saw this, I don't know how long ago I must have seen this, months and months ago on Paige Backstage's channel. And she had done this tag and she'd gone through some really interesting records and had some really cool reasons why she'd picked them and stuff. So I thought, hey, I'd love to do that, but then I wasn't making videos for a while. And now that I'm getting back into making regular videos, I thought, why not do it now? I selected quite a wide range of records for this tag. I have managed to limit myself to one record for each topic, so I'm really proud of myself. So if you've been wondering a bit about me and a bit more about my record collection in general, hopefully this will answer some of those questions for you. Also, maybe you haven't seen my channel before and you just like to say, hey, who's this girl with her grey lipstick? What's up with that? So, should we just get straight into the tag? Cool. Question number one, how many records do you own? This is like going to one of those meetings, isn't it? So just for you, I counted up every single record in my collection and it's 415. So that includes every size, every genre, every single record that I own. I also counted the records that are in the box sets that I own. I should mention that I'm subscribed to a vinyl subscription service that sends me 5 new records every single month. So I think a big chunk of it was from those, but I'm aware that there's probably still quite a big chunk left of me just having a lot of records. These are all of them behind me. So the second question is, what kind of record player do you have? I don't have a record player, I have a record setup, which I think that's what this question means. I used to have a Crosley Cruiser all-in-one record player and then it broke, so I thought that was a pretty good time to upgrade. I have an AT-LP 120 turntable. It's a direct drive turntable and it also has a built-in preamp. The turntable plugs into my Marantz amplifier, which then is wired up to my 2 bookshelf speakers. They're both Wharfedale and they stand on Mission speaker stands. The speaker stands are specially designed so that the weight is properly distributed, which is quite important for the sound. And yeah, I'm really happy with my setup at the moment. The next question is, how old were you when you started collecting records? This question makes me feel old. I grew up with tapes and CDs and then MP3s and streaming, so I didn't really collect records when I was really young. I was just the wrong generation. I started collecting them when I was 22. The next question, what is the oldest record you own? This question was kind of hard for me because I don't really know how old all my records are. I'm just that type of person. Like, I care more about the music and I care more about like actually listening to it and what the point of the record is than all the specific details. That's just not what I'm interested in, to be honest. I know there are people who are like really great at cataloging every single year and stuff, and I think, you know, that's cool for you. For me, it's more about the ideas and the music. So I was trying to think what it might be, and I think it might be this record, which is Françoise Hardy. I think it is her first EP, and so it's from the 60s, it's the original Disque Vogue. I got this about a year and a half ago, and I made a video about it then. It's in my Yeah Yeah Girls haul. It's beautiful, I love it, it's really cool. But this is the thing, the reason that I love this record isn't because it's old, it isn't really because it's a specific serial number, it's because of the music. It's because I love these songs. I love Oh Oh Cherie, and I love like the whole thing of it being in an EP and the way that it was distributed and the way that it's matched with the other 3 songs. So that's what I like. Long rambly answer, but this is my oldest, I think. I'm going to be going through my whole record collection soon because I'm making a record collection series. If I do find something that is older then I will let you know on Twitter. The next question is, what is the first ever record you got? The first ever record I bought was from Urban Outfitters. Like a lot of people, there's no shame. I didn't know there were other places you could buy records. So I bought this one. It is the Black Keys Brothers. I love this record. I love Howlin' For You. This record is one of those records that sounds good even if it's played on the worst possible record player on your uneven floor in your New York apartment. It still sounds great. I remember just sitting there listening to it by candlelight and being like, I love this. I love every aspect of this. And to me, that's the magic of vinyl, is that you don't have to listen to it in perfect conditions for you still to be completely enraptured by it. Question 6 is, what is the first record you bought with your own money? And to that, my answer is the same. It is the Black Keys Brothers album. Question number 7 is, what is your favorite colored vinyl? I have quite a few colored records, so it's quite hard for me to pick. I didn't really know if this was supposed to be, you know, purely on the aesthetic of the vinyl coloring, or if it was like your favorite record that happened to be a colored record. So I picked the color. I hope I did that right. My favorite colored vinyl record is Little Dragon Pink Cloud. This is a record that was a Record Store Day exclusive, and I just really love the shade. It's just the perfect pinky, bluey shade. And I think it's really difficult to get pinks right. Sometimes they can be too orangey, or sometimes they can be too bluey, but I really like this one. And the song is also called Pink Cloud, so I think it goes really well together. I also like this because it's in like white label packaging, which I think is like an interesting idea to do that along with something being colored vinyl. So yeah. This one is probably my favorite colored vinyl. That will probably change the next time someone asks me though, like I'll come up with a completely new answer. Question 8, what is a discount album that you own? I used to work in a record store, so I used to get staff discount on a lot of records, but I feel like that's cheating. So I picked one that I actually got on discount in a shop recently. This is the Noel Fielding live album. It was reduced to £10, I think, which I think is how much all records should be anyway. It's really cool. It's a live album of his comedy show. I remember I saw Noel Fielding tweeting about this when it was first up for pre-order. I remember opening it up on my phone, and I remember having that window open for weeks, and I was like, I should get this. No, it's too expensive. I should get this. No, it's too expensive. And I just didn't. And then I just closed the window eventually. And then I was out shopping in East London just before Christmas, and I was in Rough Trade East, and I saw this album reduced, and I was like, it's a sign, because I was gonna buy it and then I didn't, and now it's right in front of me and it's cheaper, so it must be that I have to buy this album. So I bought it, and I was really, really pleased that I waited, because I think sometimes fate does that for you. It gives you a little gift. It's a white record with black splatter on it, which is really cool. Noel Fielding is one of my favorite comedians, and I loved The Mighty Boosh. I really like his thing. I don't know how to describe it, but he's just one of those people who's so unique, and they're so true to themselves in their sort of persona. Even when he's on like the most mainstream TV show, he's still so uniquely him, and I think that's really cool to have that kind of personality. This is also the first ever live comedy album that I've ever bought, and the experience of just listening to someone doing live comedy over a record is so cool. I don't know why I haven't bought one of these before. I'd really recommend it if you have a favorite comedian, to look up if there are any recordings of them doing stand-up. It's just a different feel, and it's a different way of listening to records, and I really enjoyed it. This is my one that's my discount, but also amazing record. Question number 9, what is your prized possession? I assume that this means vinyl. What is your prized vinyl possession? So my choice for this question is The Swinging Mademoiselle from Jacqueline Taeb. This is a reissue. It's not an original. It is a rare reissue though, and I found it really randomly, I think in Sister Ray in East London. The reason that this is such a prized possession for me is because it is so difficult to find Jacqueline Taeb on vinyl. You can stream her, you can find her on CDs, you can find her on compilations, but all of the original stuff is so expensive or just rare, you can't buy it. If someone has it, they're holding on to it. She's a French yaya artist. She sits in that really annoying position though in yaya music, where she's popular enough that people know who she is and they want to buy her stuff when they can find it, but she's not quite popular enough that people are doing like a lot of reissues. So she's difficult to find, and this is a reissue that I found and I love it. And yeah, this is so cool. I think her most famous song is 7 heures du matin. I don't know if it samples or if it just sort of riffs off of the Kink song My Generation. It's a really cool song. It's kind of like a female perspective on that Kink's attitude, and it's really cool. So if you haven't heard it, I'd recommend looking her up. She's fantastic. And personally, I just want to spread the good news about Jacqueline Taeb. Question 10, a record by a female artist. If you've met me or watched any of my videos, you'll know that pretty much I'd say like maybe like it's a 70-30 split on my collection, but most of it is female artists. So this was a tough one because it's so general. I think it would be tougher for me to find any records of mine that are just by a single male artist. So maybe that should be a question in this tag for next time. It was really hard for me to pick, but I decided to go with a classic. So this is Björk's Homogenic. I don't know if I want to say that it's her best album because I love all of her albums and I changed my mind on what's my favorite. I made an entire video about my Björk record collection, which I'll link down in the description, but it's just, I love all of her stuff. So I do have all of her albums and I also have some Sugar Cubes. I just wanted to mention this one because it's just such an important album. It's the album where her style changed. It was like a really pivotal moment for her and I really enjoy listening to it. It's just track after track of brilliant music. I also love the cover art. I love every aspect of it. It's pressed on green vinyl. So the tag just asked for a record by a female artist, but I'm giving you someone who transcends female or male or any of that. Question 11, a record by your favorite band. I don't know if I've ever been one of those people who says like, I know I always am gonna have the same favorite band. I think I have favorite bands in phases and then I come back round to them. And obviously pretty much everything in my collection is from a band or an artist who I have at one point considered a favorite. So it's like my collection is full of favorites, but I thought I would pick a band that I have seen several times perform and I've always really loved them. This is Bombay Bicycle Club's first album, which was recently reissued. I Had the Blues but I Shook Them Loose. I really enjoy Bombay Bicycle Club's later work, but their first album is perfection, and if you're just looking for a way to get into them, I think it's a really good starting place. I was so pleased when they decided to reissue this and also their second album, Flaws. There are just so many great songs on here, like every single song is brilliant. They're also so good live and I just love their music. When I was at university, I used to walk around the streets of New York listening to Bombay Bicycle Club just constantly. They're so good. They're one of those bands that like you can listen, and every time you listen to the music as well, there's a new meaning to it. Question 12, an impulse buy. So I found this one really difficult because I don't really buy things on impulse when it comes to records. Like I know I can make decisions really quickly, but it's not really an impulse. It's more of like a very quick decision. I can be quite decisive sometimes, and if I know that I want something, then I know straight away and I just know I'm going for it. And if I'm not sure, then I probably don't want it and I probably won't get it. The record I picked for this is Fear of a Black Planet by Public Enemy. It's such a classic album, and I remember my brother used to have it on CD and I used to like borrow it and go listen to it over and over. I love this album, and I saw that it was on Amazon on these flash sales this year, and I was so like wrapped up in the fact that I had loved this album when I was younger, and I was like, I need to listen to it again. So I was just like, yes, I have to find this and this. So I ended up getting it like very quickly, and then I was like, afterwards I was like, oh yeah, I just bought Fear of a Black Planet. Okay, I think that this is an album that is particularly relevant now. A lot of the ideas that they talk about, a lot of the ideas that they're concerned with are things that are coming to the forefront again. So I think it's a really good time to re-listen to this album. Is it just me, or am I twisting like all of these questions into something else? Like I feel like I just turned that into a record that you think is politically relevant. I'm sorry, welcome to my channel. Number 13 is A Gift. So this is the Game of Thrones Season 6 soundtrack. This was a Christmas gift, and it was a very good one indeed. I love Ramin Djawadi, and his music is just incredible. Like, I feel like such a nerd right now, but as much as I love like rock music and indie and like all these other kinds of music, I love the way that classical music is structured, and I particularly love the way that this as a soundtrack works. There's a different theme for each character or house, and then you can hear them as well sort of weaving in together in some of the longer pieces. Like, it's so cool. I feel like I sound like such a nerd right now. I'm sorry, but this is how I feel. Sometimes you can close your eyes and you can listen to an entire piece from the soundtrack and you can see exactly what the action is supposed to be visually because it's so well written. Like, you can hear like, okay, here the Starks are, now Jaime Lannister is arriving, now something sad has happened. like all of these things, and you can hear it beat for beat. And listening to it on vinyl is such an amazing experience as well. I was previously streaming it or listening to it through the TV show, but there's such an amazing quality to this and a depth to it that I love. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm slightly obsessed with Game of Thrones, and sometimes I will just listen to the Game of Thrones soundtrack on loop in my headphones all day. And it's quite awkward sometimes, because now that more people know that I make these videos, I'll come in somewhere and I'll be listening to something on my headphones and they'll be like, oh hey, like what are you listening to at the moment? Kind of expecting it to be something very cool or like some new band, and sometimes it is, and I can be like, oh yeah, it's this new band I'm into. But sometimes I'm just like, it's a Game of Thrones soundtrack, I'm listening to it for the 500th time. This is difficult to explain, but I love it. It's just something that I listen to a lot. If you haven't heard it, I recommend it because it's so good. 14 is most played record. This was another difficult one for me because I do try to listen to my records quite regularly and not like focus on one for too long. That said, there are some that I return to over and over again, and they just always feel like the right record for me in like specific moods. This is Stevie Nicks' Belladonna. This is the album with obviously Belladonna on it and Edge of 17, two of my favorite tracks of Stevie Nicks's. I love her music, I love the way that it's slightly witchy, I love the way that it's slightly like bizarre and like ethereal, and yet at the same time the music is so strong. I really enjoy spinning this record, and it almost always feels like the right record for my mood. Oh, and just because I feel like showing off about this, I bought this record for £1. Yeah. Number 15 is a rarity. As I said before, I'm not really sure about like how rare any of my records are or how old they are and stuff. Like, I just know that I like them, and that's enough for me. But I think that this one might be kind of rare. It's a random record. It's a French 60s yeah music record. It's a 7-inch, and it's from an artist called Audrey. I think that she only released a couple of records, and I don't know if she ever released an LP or anything, but it's very limited. I don't know if there's really much demand for it though, so I don't know if you would say that it like counts as a rare record, but I consider it a rarity. You may know from some of my previous videos that I really enjoy yeah music, and I've obviously had a couple of yeah artists in this video already, so for me to find rarer artists is really exciting. So this is an Audrey, and this is Tu me manques chérie. I think I said that right. Number 16 is a rainy day record. I don't know if this is going to be a surprising choice, but this is Number of the Beast by Iron Maiden. Iron Maiden are one of my favorite bands. Yeah, put that next to Stevie Nicks and Audrey. I find people are usually surprised when I say that I really enjoy this kind of music. I don't know why I love Iron Maiden so much. Like, I was trying to figure it out in my head because I like to analyze things, but I think it's like this mix that they have of incredible musicianship, really great storytelling, and then this really strong, forceful energy that comes from them being part of that new wave of heavy metal that was like partly inspired by punk. Number of the Beast is the first record that Bruce Dickinson sang vocals on. Not just in my opinion, but in most people's opinions, this is the record where they really came into their own. There are so many great tracks on here, and it's also so nice to put on when it's like gloomy outside, because one of the things about heavy metal is that it came from the fact that people were ignoring a lot of like the more miserable parts of life and the darker aspects of life in the hippie movement. So they were kind of saying, well, hang on, life isn't all great. So yeah, I love listening to this record. It just makes me feel energized, and I think sometimes people make the mistake of thinking like on a rainy day you have to listen to something that is going to make you feel like calm, or something that's going to cheer you up by being like quite bright. But I think sometimes it's good to listen to like very dark, angry music when it's like that, because it suits the mood, it suits the weather, it suits how you're feeling, and it just sort of makes you feel in tune. 17 is a feel-good record. So for this, I picked All Angels by Grimes. I love this album, I love Grimes. I think one of the reasons I have such good associations with this record is because when I saw Grimes live, her energy was so incredible. It was one of the best shows I've ever been to, and I think there's just such a positive energy. Her entire stage was full of women, and it was just this really positive but like energetic feel to it. it. I think my two favorite songs to really make me feel good are California and Scream. I think Scream kind of taps into that same part of me that loves Iron Maiden, but I really love that part and it just makes me feel like ready to go and do stuff. Okay, so 18 is a nostalgic record. For this, I picked Albert Hammond Jr., Yours to Keep. I think that this was a Record Store Day reissue, which, you know, because reissues are good sometimes. This had never been released on vinyl before, it had only been out on CD. I used to have the CD of this because I really loved the Strokes when I was younger. I still love them, but I was that kind of person who would buy like literally anything any of them did. I remember I used to like cut out their pictures from the NME and like stick them up over my locker and stuff. So I really listened to this record a lot when I was younger. And I really love like the storytelling and the story time feel to it and the like cartoonish feel to it. And it's also like a very nostalgic record in itself. Like it's about childhood and disillusion, like growing up and realizing the world isn't quite what you thought it would be. So yes, this is probably my most nostalgic record. Number 19 is a Record Store Day release. For this, I picked Madonna, Like a Virgin and Other Big Hits. And this is the Record Store Day 2016 reissue of the original Japanese version. It's pressed on bright pink vinyl, which matches this, and it's really, really cool. I think that this is one of the things that like people probably complain about for Record Store Day, that they're like, oh, there's too many reissues of major artists and maybe it shouldn't be like that. For whatever reason, like I'm sure they have good reasons, but for me, I think this is what Record Store Day is all about. I think it's about big artists, big names, big things are like real showstoppers that are going to pull people into independent record stores and make people like go in and realize where their local record store is. Maybe a lot of Madonna fans wouldn't know where their local record store is. Whereas, you know, maybe a lot of Foles fans will know where their local record store is. I think that this is like the big draw. And if your whole point of Record Store Day is to pull people into independent record stores, then this is like the perfect way of doing it. So now we're on to the final record of the vinyl tag, and this is a recent purchase. This record literally came in the post today. This is the XX I See You. Can you see my camera? I feel like all you can see from this record at the moment is my softbox and my camera, so I'm gonna put it down, but it's reflective, basically. So that's the XX's latest album. It's brilliant. I really like it. I have a lot of things to say about it, but I'm about to do a live stream tonight about the album, so if you want to see what I think about that live stream will probably have already happened, so I'll put a link to it in the description and you can see my track by track thoughts on it. So that's the vinyl tag. I hope that you enjoyed this little peek into my collection and maybe it's got you excited for my upcoming record collection series. I will have more details on that soon. I think that this is a really fun tag to do because it makes you think about your collection in a different way and kind of rethink how they fit together and like when you actually are listening to different records. So it's a really fun one if you haven't done it already. I know that for tag videos, the whole point is you're supposed to like tag someone. So who do I tag? The first person I tag is Sangeeta. I know that you have a really cool collection and I'd really love to see more about what you think about your different records and what you associate them with. The next person I'd like to tag probably won't see this video, but if you want to tweet it at him or something, I would love to see the Needle Drop do this tag. And I know he usually doesn't do tag videos and I completely understand that, but I just think he has such an interesting collection and like such interesting ideas about specific records and very precise opinions. So I'd love to see him do this. So Anthony Fontano, I am formally requesting the vinyl tag. And then I also tag anyone in the vinyl community who has never made a video before. I think that this is a great video to make if you've never made a video before, and I know that there are some really, really cool vinyl community accounts on like Instagram. So if you are starting to share your record collection online, but you're not quite sure about making videos about it, then I challenge you to make this video because I would love to see it. Well, that's everything from me today. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you're new to my channel and you quite like the sound of it, then please do click subscribe. I really appreciate it. If you turn on notifications, then you'll also get an alert whenever I post a new video or if I start live streaming. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please do remember to click like, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!